Welcome to the Mods Podcast. Our hosts bring the backbone of Twitch to the forefront to talk about their unique view of the platform. On today's episode, the mods talk about moderating big streams versus small streams, as well as what common expectations should be for moderators moderating as a job versus moderating as volunteers. But to be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. The humor is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical physics, most of the jokes will go over the typical viewer's head. Do you guys have a preference for modding big streams, small streams, or is there ever a time that like a stream has blown up and you've thought to yourself, I'm sure you guys have seen in chat, some viewers will be vocal about that they prefer to be in small streams and that they will often leave a stream when it starts to grow too big. You know, it's like to each their own. So is there ever a time that you guys kind of experience the explosion of a channel at all and, you know, it is too big and you prefer not to mod, you would prefer to be a viewer?
For me, I personally like, I don't want to say smaller streams. I like slower streams. The streams where the chat is just going 100 miles an hour, I don't enjoy those because most of the time the streamer misses a bunch of messages and it's harder for the mods to keep track of who said what, and that kind of takes a lot of the joy out of it. But I've seen streams with hundreds of people and chat it's going at a quick pace, but the streamer is keeping up and able to interact with everybody. Yeah, interaction is the main thing, and if the chat's going 100 miles an hour, that's difficult.
I haven't come across a situation where a stream's gotten too big for me. There are streams, there are ones I don't mod for, but their chats are crazy, like Pike was saying, and it's overloading sometimes. And the whole point to me of Twitch is my fun comes with interaction and talking, whether it be with the streamer or sometimes you find someone in the chat that's fun to goof around with and you goof around with them. But in some of those streams where it's like a mile a minute, it's just overloading. It's hard to get a word in edgewise and hard to keep up. Thankfully, I don't mod for any channels like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I see some of these bigger streamers, and I'm like, oh my god, I would hate to be a mod right now, trying to keep up with everything that's shooting past the screen. It's like, I don't know how they do it, but good on them.
And some of those streams, the streamer actually, it streams that you actually get along with the streamer and you kind of formed a friendship with, and they're actively trying to converse with you. But when you got 75 messages flying by, it's hard to, like, if you're trying to ask someone how their day is, and you end up having to rewrite it about 5 or 6 times just in hopes that they'll be able to see it. That makes it kind of not as fun to participate in. Because some of these streams we come to kind of relax and enjoy ourselves. And sometimes we've had a really shitty day, and being able to converse with the streamer or just their personality and attitude can cheer us up. And like I say, if it feels like you're getting ignored, well, that's not helping your mood any, and then you just try to sit back and watch, and that's never any fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to your favorite restaurant or your favorite bar or something, sitting down and hanging out with the staff and talking with them and stuff like that. You actually, like I said, you had a bad day, just want to sit down and enjoy something nice.
Do you guys mod for the majority of the streams that you hang out in, or do you have a preference towards modding or being a viewer, or does it matter to you whether or not you mod or not in a channel?
Once upon a time, I would say I preferred being a viewer, but honestly, it doesn't really matter to me because more often than not, as you said, more the people that I mod for are people that I watch on a regular basis. So I'm just going to be there anyway, but now I just interact with them, and now I occasionally, to put it bluntly, take out the trash every now and then.
Same for me.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It doesn't matter to me if I mod or not. The only difference is for the channels I don't mod for, I find myself tapping my screen when I want to ban someone but realize I can't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Well, I mod quite a few streams anyway, but I occasionally I'll get into one that I don't mod. It's like, all right, I've seen this troll in other streams. I know what he's about to say, and I'll have my finger over their name, and as soon as they say it, click. Oh, shit.
Since I end up typing most of my commands out as opposed to using the button commands, I just type it out, and I normally get back the message of unable to ban, not broadcaster, not mod. Oh,
Yep.
right, forgot about that.
Because I know the mod icons are kind of a blessing and a curse. Like for the slow moving chats, usually you're able to hit your target. But yeah, those chats that are going really fast, you have to try and click it at just the right time, but that's when you accidentally ban a regular that's been subbed for 2 years. But I know for me, I tend to hang out in streams where myself and the streamer have similar personalities and positive attitudes is the main thing. Because if I can make them laugh by telling the dumbest dad jokes there are or something, some pun, and they'll giggle or smile, it brings me joy, and those are the streams I love to hang out in. Because, like I say, if the streamer's got a bad attitude and is always negative, it makes it difficult to watch. And those are usually the streams where the trolls are really running rampant, and there's really no moderation, and it makes streams hard to watch if the streamer is only talking negative things or down talking themselves or chat. It's just not my cup of tea.
So how do you guys feel about the streams where it's more of a job? Maybe more excluding the people who pay their mods regularly. Because at that point, I don't know, I feel like maybe this is just coming from the streamer end, that if you have a salaried staff, then I would think that you can raise the expectations. And it also does kind of bring up that concern that we've talked about before about how there are streamers that, don't want to make people mods because they're worried that it'll turn into a job and that it'll take the fun out of it.
Well, I think the streams that do pay their mods, I think then it is a job, and I fully understand there being the necessary guidelines where this needs to be done right, because it's just like any other job. I mean, your boss tells you what to do, you have to do it, otherwise you get fired. But in the streams where you don't get paid, but you're still treated like an employee, those are the streams that tend to be a little more stressful on the mods, and the streamers tend to wear out, or they tend to go through quite a few mods because they expect so much and give nothing in return. And
there's a high turnover rate.
Yes, it makes it really stressful and hard on the mods because they're literally volunteering their time and being treated like an employee but not getting paid. Basically like they're interns, and we might get a little bit of knowledge and education on how the Twitch universe works, but it's really not bettering ourselves.
So having worked in a paid moderating job, this was like not on my actual account, Leonhart, but on my staff account back when I was working for Twitch. It can be incredibly stressful, like especially if the chat is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and you happen to miss something, but either another mod sees the thing that you missed, or worse, the streamer notices you missed this particular comment and it's either against TOS, against my personal rules. You can get reprimanded very easily, and it is incredibly stressful to deal with that, especially when like the comments is a simple curse word and they wanted it to be a family-friendly stream. Whether you're being paid for it, and you are being paid for it, so they will look at you and go, you're not doing your job correctly. Just keep in mind, I can remove you at any time I feel like it, and I can replace you with literally anyone else. And I find that some of those streamers who do pay their mod staff to be incredibly more strict. And it doesn't feel like you're having a fun time with the person that you enjoy spending time with.
So what do you guys think, for anybody who's that ends up listening to this, are some realistic expectations that should be set for moderation, as far as what their expectation on capability should be? Is it different by size of channel? Should they have, is there just like a baseline of this is what you should be able to expect of somebody, and asking anything more requires a set of compensation for that extra effort?
I think the main thing is you have to know the TOS for the subject that is being streamed. And that is the main thing there. And then the streamer, they can have their set of ground rules, like Leanna mentioned, a family-friendly stream, so you don't want curse words or you don't want this subject or whatnot. Then that's kind of partially on the mods and the streamer to set up the auto mod to help the moderators out, especially in the unpaid circumstances where sometimes all the mods or most of the mods might have prior engagements. So having an auto mod to be able to helps out quite a bit. But TOS and then having at least a baseline set of rules to follow is nice. But for me, I prefer like the streams where you're more like family rather than employees. It's also a double-edged sword because I've had family members that are they'll stab you in the back as the turn of a hat. So I mean it's a double-edged sword, but TOS and keeping the auto mod up to date is a high priority.
Especially since with the current updates to like the mod view for any given channel, you have full control over AutoMod and making sure that it either catches links or catches excessive amount of symbols, or case in point where it accidentally caught someone the other night for putting in too many exclamation points, partially doing its job and partially doing its job too well, and also making sure that any terminology that is unwanted gets caught by AutoMod.
Dave's like unusually quiet today.
I was going to say, David's either playing Ark or he's scared to talk.
No, I'm listening.
Listening? No, this ain't David. Bring back the real David.
No, basically, you guys are making the same point I'd be making.
I mean, the only other thing I was going to say was I'm lucky in the fact that everyone I mod for is like how Pike describes. It's your friends, your family. They don't expect anything more of you than what you're doing. They understand that we have lives, and if we can't be there because we're doing something, then that's fine because we're there to help. I don't mod for anyone that's like, you need to fill out a day off request form or let me know a day in advance. Because if that was the case, I would just tell them to unmod me then and there. I see modding as helping out friends. And if someone's going to treat you like an employee, and to me that's kind of disrespectful, then I don't want to be a part of it.
I don't think anybody wants to be contractually obligated to mod like that, you know?
I've known streamers that are like that, and it's always ended in bad news for them.
And same situation. I've had some people come up to me and say that I expect you to be in my channel from this time to this time. And I didn't even wait for them to unmod me by asking. I just said, I'm gone. Bye. How's it going?
For a streamer who may not have taken this into consideration before, let's say somebody does run a much tighter ship with higher expectations. What would you say to them as far as like reasonable expectations for moderator to be around? You know, I personally am of the mindset that the first moderator that should be around 100% of the time is the streamer, but we all know that, I came to the discovery last time we talked that not a lot of streamers know how to work mod tools or know their way around the moderation system. So that's probably the first thing that needs to be fixed in the system.
Well, I think in the case of newer streamers, I would have them try to do a little bit of research and reach out to mods that have been doing it for a while in the category that you plan on streaming on, and open a dialogue with them to find out, like, all right, I'm thinking about doing this. Are there any tips or suggestions you can give me as far as how I need to moderate my channel and what things I need to do to remain within TOS and the boundaries of Twitch, and just try to open up a dialogue with somebody that has been doing it for a while or actually knows what they're doing. I've seen a few streamers, they'll mod somebody that's been in chat 3-4 times and they don't know them. Once you give someone a sword the possibilities are endless. I mean, they could totally ruin your Twitch career.
Yeah, communication is key in that one because that's how it was with me when I got first modded. The streamer was like, well, I know you've never done it before. And I was like, well, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, that's fine. If you have to unmod me, I get it. As long as you communicate and actually, as long as the streamer lets the could be mod know what they want and is open, then it's fine.
And if it boils down to where the streamer just wants to know there's a mod around to have their back, get multiple mods or multiple people. And on a mod's end, we can all talk amongst ourselves like, hey, they're streaming this day at this time. Who's going to be around? So at least we know they're covered. So on our end, we can communicate amongst ourselves to make sure the streamer's covered too.
Do you think that there's a better chance of dialogue like that or willingness to cover a stream like that when there's less pressure to mod for a stream than when there's more pressure?
I myself think so. If you're not having fun, at least for me, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah, if I know it's going to be fun, then yeah, I'm okay with it. But I also want to know what I'm getting into ahead of time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mods Podcast. You can find our mod team on twitch.tv as D Pigman, Mr. Pike 1, Arclight 2879, and Leon Hart. They mod every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday for me on twitch.tv/thebadluckbuddha. So stop by, say hi, and let us know what topics you want to hear